Oh, Christmas tree. Oh, Christmas tree. Been wondering just what you mean. Oh, Christmas tree. Honestly, it's never been much about you. Don't get me wrong, I think you're great. Root of tradition we celebrate. But oh, Christmas tree, more than anything, it's all the people around you.
Hey, I'm Shay and welcome back to my channel, Books with Shay. So I am brewing my tea right now. It is steeping. I just got my shot in the morning of putting, or the afternoon now, of putting the tea together because I let myself sleep in just a little bit today. I got up at 8:45, 9 o'clock maybe, because I knew I was going to need as much rest as possible to be able to power through The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. So this is essentially going to be a Way of Kings reading vlog because of the fact that I don't have time to do not another single thing today if I'm going to try to get through this in essentially one day. I'm scared it's going to bleed over to tomorrow morning a little bit, but I'm going to just update you on how I'm doing so far. So I am about 310 pages into this bad boy, and I want to tell you guys a couple things about me as a reader so that you have a better understanding of the way that I'm reading this. The first one is I cannot stand missing details, which is working against me in Sanderson's writing. And LT and I had this conversation and he was like, you're gonna have to just let some of those details go because otherwise you will never get through this. And so I am the type of person who will go back, like in the audio, I'll go back 30 seconds, go back 30 seconds to hear things a few times over and over again until I feel like I've grasped what the author is saying in that area. And that is not something that I can do today and make it all the way through this. I'm not somebody who can skim read. If I get to a place and I feel like I missed something, I'll go back and reread an entire prior chapter to try to understand what's happening in the current chapter. Like, I just don't like not understanding what's happening in a book. And for this, I can't act like that. I can't be my normal reading self. So LT was saying, as long as I understand the gist, that the way he described it was, he said that for him, he feels like Sanderson writes in a grid. So what he's going to do is draw some vertical lines for me, draw some horizontal lines for me, and then towards the end of the story, I'll start getting the squares filled in. And he was like, the way you tend to read and listen is by putting square after square after square. And so you can't expect that listening style to fold into this writing style. You need to just go with the wind, let the grid be drawn for you and filled in later. So I'm going to trust LT. And the thing that I am doing that is kind of helping me be able to still take in as much of this as possible, because I don't want to be somebody who's like, I read The Way of Kings in 24 hours and understood absolutely none of it, or did not, like when the big plot reveals start to come and things like that, that I am not, my mind is not blown because I missed everything. So every 3 or 4 chapters or so, I have been calling LT at work, or when he gets home, I'll talk to him when he's physically here. And I've been saying, this is the understanding I have so far. Do I need to go back and read something? Have I missed anything? Am I on the right track? And without giving me any spoilers or anything, because he's read it obviously already. So without giving me any spoilers, he says, yes, you have all the information, or he'll try to trigger a memory. Like, do you remember when this thing happened? Because this is something that you might need to know. And so I have been using that as a checkpoint to help me be able to get through this without feeling like I'm failing as a reader because I'm missing details. So I try not to be so meticulous, especially in something like this, because this is obviously something that I'm probably going to have to read again to get every nuance of and even reading it 2, 3, 4 times, a lot like Name of the Wind, which I compare most things to since it's my favorite of all time. That's one of those books that you are not going to get everything the first time, the second time, the third time. The more times you read it, like every time it's brand new in a different way, which is one of the reasons why I love it. And I feel like with as much care as I can tell was put into crafting this book, I'm not gonna get it all the first time, but I do want to get the majority of it and not just like skim through it to say I made it through in a day. So I am partially listening, partially reading. Listening is easier for me on this so far because a lot of the names, places, references are things that I wouldn't be able to pronounce. And so it slows me down when I'm like trying to figure out how something is said or how it folds into the story, or trying to understand the definition of something that's a word that he just made up and folded into this text that he'll define later. And so listening has proved to be quicker for me than reading on this one, which is interesting because that's not usually the case. Normally I can read faster than I can listen. So right now I'm trying to do things that plug my other senses in a mindless way. Does that make sense? Let me know if any of you do this in the comments below. But basically for me, when I'm listening to an audiobook, especially one that is very dense, it's important that I plug my other active senses. So I need to be playing a game that's using my hands and my like vision. Sometimes I'll doodle or draw pictures or something like that. Sometimes I'll light a candle and make a cup of tea. And so the more senses that I can plug while I'm listening to the audiobook, just to fill those outlets, it keeps my mind from wandering, because I don't want to start passively listening. I want to be actively listening. And so I plug my other senses so that they don't wander off. And then I use the active portion of my brain to focus on the audiobook. That might not make any sense, but if that's how you are, or it does make sense to you, let me know in the comments below, because I would love to know. So I am going to go and grab my tea and start drinking it and keep listening. And I will tell you, so far, I can tell you about a few different storylines. I can tell you about a few different characters. I can tell you about a few different events, but I cannot tell you what I think of the story because things have not started to come together in that way yet. I can't wait for the update where I'm like, holy crap, it's coming together. But yeah, we're not there yet. So I will check in with you guys in just a little bit. Okay, so it's a little bit later now. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm about 400 pages into Way of Kings, and I'm sure you can tell by my face, my countenance in general, that I'm starting to struggle a little bit. So I told LT that I feel like Brandon Sanderson pages are like dog years. Like for every one that you read, it's actually like 7. So instead of having read 400 pages, it's more like I've read 2,800 pages. There is a lot in there. And he was asking if I've ever read anything so dense before. And I was telling him it's not the density of it, because I feel like I've read other dense things. It's the density with the lack of relief. There's not a lot of payoff to the density yet. You're not, like, none of the major plot twists have come for me yet, assuming that there are some. I'm sure there are, because everybody is rating this so high. On top of that, there's not a lot of humor. The only humor that we see is in Wit, pretty much, and he only comes around once in a blue moon. So there are very few things to relieve the density, which is what makes it so hard to get through, I think. I feel like I'm carrying a bridge. If you know, you know. He's laughing in the background. And so the thing about it is, because he like can't hold it together back here. The thing about it is, because I am reduced to the carrying of the bridge, even the putting down of the bridge seems like relief. So it's like, I'm sure that when things start happening, the relief will be so immense that that will make it amazing all in and of itself. It's hard to really talk about because I don't even know what's a spoiler. Like, honestly, if somebody would have talked me through the first 400 pages of this book, I wouldn't know if they had spoiled me for something or not. It's a lot. So as I was telling you guys earlier, I'm trying to let the lines of the grid be drawn and the squares filled in later, but it's so hard to adapt my style of reading to a style of writing that I'm definitely not used to. And now I think about the things that I had a harder time getting through this week, like Legendborn, for instance. I was like, man, 18 hours is a long time to listen to something. 44 hours is a long time to listen to something. And I feel like anything else, or excuse me, LT's correcting me, it's 45 2.5 hours is a long time to listen to something. And I feel like, and on top of that, that was YA and this is Brandon Sanderson. I understand like that people would say that the genre of this is adult fantasy, but I feel like Brandon Sanderson is a genre all of his own. Like now I understand what people were saying about like, maybe don't start with The Way of Kings. I obviously haven't read anything else by him, so I can't tell you where to start or what would be good or anything like that, but I was tired, like for real. And I'm only 400 pages, which is not even halfway. So I'm going to buckle down and keep going. I wanted to tell you guys, so LT was saying that he had a guest. Do you want to come guest star? And ignore the sound in the back, that's the dishwasher. I told you kind of what my favorite storyline is. So far, my favorite storyline is the one with the girl who, I cannot think of her name right now, but who wants to be the apprentice or the ward of the lady who's the studier, philosopher type person. Anyway, I like that storyline a lot, but it like seems to have disappeared where I am in the book. We've only gotten that perspective a couple times and it's like, is it coming back? Like, am I just going to be stuck carrying bridges and in battlefields and trying to decide whether or not I want to be a surgeon for the rest of time? Or like, why are you enjoying this so much? Okay, so I was telling LT about my favorite storyline and my favorite characters and things like that, which right now would be the girl that I don't know her name, so I don't know how favorite she is. I really like Wit. I really like Rock, is that his name? Mm-hmm. I really like Rock. Maybe because he's like the only comic relief I feel like he is not so heavy, which is hilarious. His name is Rock. And he's a big dude, but I like those characters. My favorite so far is probably the little sprite. She's magical. Syl, you said? Syl. I remember that there was a longer name and then she was like, I have a nickname, how curious. Yeah. So I really like Syl. I feel like, again, it's because in the murky waters that are a Brandon Sanderson book, these are the places of brightness. If you notice any kind of commonality in between the people that I like, it seems like all of them are taking a little bit of weight off of the dictionary of what will be this world. I feel like it's like, LT was like, have you read anything that's more dense, like excluding Leviticus? And I'm like, I mean, if you gotta compare it to like the Old Testament, that it's a lot. So what are your thoughts in watching me consume this so far?
I don't know, it's interesting to see the world building process of a Brandon Sanderson storyline from like a third person perspective almost, and like the things that you pick up versus the things I picked up, and just, I guess, your point of view on what you're getting from them. I didn't like the storyline that is your favorite as much as you like it.
So I'm noticing that you're more drawn towards what is looking like it's about to be the story of the underdog, you know? Yeah. And I'm clinging to the bits of light in this dark, dark cave. Dark cave.
I really want you to really like it and really get into it, and I know you're having a hard time so far.
It's not that I don't like it. I do like it, and I do feel like I will get into it. It is really well written as far as the believability of the world that is built. It is made so intricately and open, like, to where everything that you see has an explanation in that world for why it exists. Yeah. And so it makes the magic system really believable. It makes the plot really believable. Everything feels like it is real, and it is very engrossing when I'm in it. And these are all like markers of a really fantastic story. And for that reason, I feel like I am really going to like it. I think the biggest issue that I am having at this point is the amount of time that I'm trying to cram the story into. Yeah. I don't know that it was meant to be consumed like this. So it's a fun challenge for Vlogmas. It's fun because I'm trying to do a book a day and everything. But if you are planning on picking this up,
try it. Don't speed read this.
Yeah.
You want to take your time.
And I think that's another issue that I'm having, which is what I was telling you, or maybe not you, maybe I was telling you guys earlier, is that I am not speed reading it, really. I'm really trying to take in each detail, and LT's like, girl, you don't have to leave some of them details behind. Just wait, they'll be picked up later. Like, you will not lose them forever. Just let it go. I'm not like skimming or speed reading. I am really, truly trying to like line by line take in what is happening, and I think that's making it more difficult for me. But yeah, this is not something something that you read quickly.
I feel like with Brandon Sanderson, he gives you a ton of information and you can't hold on to all of that, but there will be things that happen that plug back into the things that happened in the beginning, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember that now, and I can like join those things together.
Yeah. And
so it weaves this kind of super intricate web, because you see how much detail and everything there is in his books. So I'm still on Oathbreaker. I haven't, his third book in the series, I haven't finished. I'm like, I think halfway through that, and I started this series like 5 years ago. Like, but I have to read it in chunks where I read a lot of it, and then I just have to stop. I have to like put it down, because it's so dense and there's so much information, and I have to go through consuming that, and then I'll pick it up again.
I'm talking to you guys, stalling a little bit, but I think I'm gonna go and keep reading, and I will check in with you in a little bit. So I figured I would show you guys what I am having for lunch. So my mom made fire engine with white rice, and this is a traditional dish that is eaten in the Bahamas, where my mom is from, and it is corned beef fried out with steam, which is like a base for a lot of Bahamian dishes. It has tomatoes in it, and thyme, and onion, and bell pepper, and garlic. It's just like a really flavorful tomato-based sauce type thing, crushed red pepper. You mix all of those things together, fry them out, and then you fry other things into them. Like you can do chicken or fish, beef. So this is with corned beef, and she just fried it out, and I'm eating it over white rice, and it's one of my favorite things. So when I was a kid, I always really wanted fire engine, and so it's nice to have my mom here making it. So I'm gonna go eat this and jump back into the book. All right, guys, I am back with an update. I'm watching you in the background though. I'm watching you. It has been 84 years, I feel like, that I have been reading The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. So if you were just now tuning in, which how would you even do that? I have been working on this all day, and I have had to take a couple of breaks in between because it's a lot of information, and at the root of all of this, it is reading, it is consuming a book. I do want it to be somewhat enjoyable. I don't just want to like bombard my brain with a bunch of information that it can't take in or that I can't enjoy. And so I have been trying to do my best to enjoy this. I am actually quite impressed with how far I've been able to get, especially with as much as I've talked to you guys today about my reading style and wanting to take in all the details and everything. I am shocked that I have made it as far as I have. I am 655 pages into this 1,000-page book. So I have about a YA fantasy or contemporary romance novel worth of pages left in this, which gives me hope, you know? So I am getting really, really close. I think it's going to be that I read this over the course of 2 days. So LT has taken mercy on me, sweet, sweet man that he is, and given me these two options for books today. Both of them are thin, both of them are paperback. Praise be to Jesus, because honestly, I don't know what I would have done. Now, I think he said I could pick, and I can't really tell, but I think I'm gonna go with this one because honestly, because it seems smaller. So I'll save that one for tomorrow, and I'm going to open this one. So my guess for this would be contemporary. It feels even too thin to be contemporary romance. Maybe poetry, which I love poetry. I don't know if you guys know that or if I've talked about it very much. Over the reading rush, I read a book of poetry that I absolutely loved, but I write poetry. I love to read poetry. I write songs, which is like writing poetry. I just really love it. So hopefully it's either a book of poetry or some kind of easy breezy, beautiful cover girl, easy breezy contemporary something or another. I guess it could be like a graphic novel also, or manga, or something along that line, which would also be welcome. I just want for my brain to have a break. I actually thought about waiting to open this, but I wanted you guys to have an unboxing in this vlog because I was like, I kind of want to wait to open it because I feel like as soon as I open it, I'm gonna be like, you know what? I'll just take a break from that, get this in and go back to that. But I don't want to take a break from that because what if I don't go back? Like what if it takes me days to feel like I'm ready to do it again? I feel like at this point, I just need to power through. So we have, no way, okay. So we have a manga. It is Fairy Tail Volume 1 by Hiro Mishima, I believe is how you pronounce that. And if it isn't and somebody knows, correct me in the comments below. I would much rather learn than be ignorant. I'm excited. I don't know that I have ever read a manga start to finish. I don't think I have. I have started a couple, but I don't know that I've ever made it all the way through one. I don't know. Just something about the format for me, it like is a little topsy-turvy. I have a hard time going back to it once I put it down, which is the same fear that I'm having with this here. However, hopefully I will really, really enjoy this because since it's a part of my goal, I'm definitely gonna be picking it up and working on it tomorrow. If you guys have read this, let me know down below if you liked it, hated it, like how did you feel about it? And I'm interested to do a vlog for this tomorrow to see what it's like for me reading in a different format. This was not on any of my wish lists or anything like that, but I think LT has read it or watched it. He's watched the anime that is in tandem with this, I guess. And he really liked it. I trust his taste and him to know my taste, so I'm excited to pick this up and read this tomorrow. I honestly feel like, you know when you drink too much water and you feel waterlogged? I feel like that except for like Sanderson logged, like if that's a thing. I don't know if you guys have read Sanderson and you've ever felt like that, you let me know. I will check in with you guys when it's time for a bear. We're about to find a bear. I'm so tired. I feel like I'm book drunk and I'm gonna have the biggest book hangover of my life tomorrow. Why are you so close to my face? Is it on this floor? Mm-hmm. What? I can't breathe.
What else is over there in that corner?
An Xbox. Amazon Fire Stick.
Okay, what about a little lower?
Go be dogs somewhere else. Let's go eat a bear. Oh my gosh. Oh, I did that whole thing looking that ridiculous.
I liked it. I thought it was cute.
Well, you're weird.
Didn't you think it was cute?
You sound like Dora the Explorer. Cheers. Why don't you ever say it?
Cheers. Cheers. Okay, thanks for coming and hanging out and supporting my baby. She's great, she's my favorite.
You sound so weird.
Cousins too.
See you tomorrow.
My brother's boys have to